Today we're checking out something that caught my eye, the Game Console RX6S. And I know what you're thinking, hey Penic, that name sounds about as generic as a box of store brand breakfast cereal. But here's the thing, this transparent purple beauty costs under $30 US and claims to play everything from NES classics to PlayStation 1 games. So whether you're that cool auntie or uncle that hasn't touched a controller since the Super Nintendo days and you want to relive those classic gaming memories, or you're younger and you're ready to dive into handheld gaming, this review is for you. So stick around because we're about to find out if this budget device is a hidden gem or if your money's better spent on literally anything else, right after this. Hey fam, Swatitu Konkrat Penic here, and before I jump in, let me break down how I review these devices using my unique 0 to 69 rating scale. Think of 69 as absolute stellar. When a handheld hits this score, it's basically perfect in this category or as a device as a whole. We've got 7 categories that matter: the unboxing experience, internals, first impressions, ease of use, customizability, controls, and value. Each gets rated from 0 to 69, and then we'll average it out to give you a final score. So whether you're a complete beginner or you just want to know where your hard-earned cash should go, you'll know exactly what you're getting into. All right, let's start with the first impression magic that's known as the unboxing experience. The RX6S comes in a nice matte full color box with this gorgeous transparent purple device right on the front of the box. So I've got to say, it doesn't look cheap right off the bat. However, inside the device comes protected in a bag, and it sits on top of a plastic tray, which is pretty standard stuff for devices of this type. It at least does come with a USB-A to USB-C cable, albeit a bit short of a cable. And it does give you the wipes and a plastic film to add as a screen protector. I wish it was glass, but again, for this price point, it is what it is. But one thing I didn't notice during my initial impressions unboxing video on the Wheel of Review is it gave me the wrong device. Not only is it the wrong device, but it's not even the similar type of device. This is a horizontal device, whereas obviously this is a vertical device. So I have to admit, I'm kind of disappointed in them, but I have to give it to you like I see it. The sturdy and colorful box saves it from being a complete disaster, but those quality control issues bring the unboxing experience to a 30 out of 69. Not great, but not terrible either. Under the transparent shell, you've got an RK3326 processor clocked at 1.5 gigahertz, with 1 gigabyte of DDR3 RAM. Now, for those who haven't touched the tech spec sheets since flip phones were cool, this is decent but not groundbreaking even for retro gaming. The display is a 3.5-inch IPS screen with a 640 by 480 resolution. Here's something cool for you pixel-perfect nerds. The resolution actually works great for integer scaling, which means your classic games will look crisp without weird stretching effects. You've got both 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi, plus Bluetooth 4.2, and there's user replaceable 3200 milliamp hour battery. That should give you about 6 hours of gaming time. For what you can play on it, we're talking PSP, PlayStation 1, Nintendo DS, Nintendo 64, all of your classic arcade systems, Game Boy, Super Nintendo, original Nintendo, the Sega Genesis, and even some of the Atari goodness. Pretty impressive list of consoles for 30 bucks. These are solid middle-of-the-road specs for a budget device, earning it an internal score of 34 out of 69. Nothing that'll blow your mind, but definitely capable of handling those nostalgic gaming sessions that you might have on mind. Now, for that crucial moment when we first power on this baby, let's talk true first impressions. The face buttons and D-pad are a bit stiff, but are refreshingly quiet during gameplay sessions. However, the start, select, function buttons, along with the shoulder buttons, are super clicky, and I mean annoyingly clicky. Now, let's talk about what works. This transparent purple absolutely looks sharp, and I love the LED light positioned right in between the start, select, and function buttons. It gives the device some nice character. The screen is nearly bezel-less and looks fantastic when you fire it up for those retro classics. Games pop with vibrant colors, and that 640 by 480 resolution really shines with pixel art. Despite some of the button noise issues, the overall first impression experience earns it the highest score yet of 40 out of 69. There's definitely potential here. Now let's talk about how user-friendly this thing really is, especially for those jumping back into gaming after years away. The RX6S comes with Arc OS pre-installed, and it uses Emulation Station Desktop Edition, or ESDE, as the front end. Translation for the non-tech folks, it's designed to be simple and straightforward to use. I genuinely believe anyone can pick this up and figure out the basic functionality pretty quickly. The interface is clean and intuitive, but here's where it gets frustrating. Games are organized under incorrect systems, which makes finding what you're looking for a bit more confusing than it needs to be. You might find a Game Boy game listed under SNES or vice versa. The core simplicity is there, but those organizational issues hold it back. Ease of use gets a 34 out of 69. For those who love to make the devices truly feel like their own, let's talk about customizability next. With ESDE as your front end, you can tweak the look and feel somewhat, changing themes, adjust layouts, that sort of thing. But here's where it gets disappointing. I checked my usual customization haunts, Etsy, AliExpress, all the places where you'd typically find cool cases, grips, and accessories for popular handhelds. Nothing. Zilch. Zero options for the RX6S. Compared to the devices with thriving accessory ecosystems, the RX6S feels pretty bare bones. Customizability score gets an honest 24 out of 69. Time for the make or break category. How do these controls actually feel during the gaming sessions? As I mentioned, the D-pad and face buttons are stiff but blessedly quiet. For those late night gaming sessions where you don't want to wake the house, that's actually a plus. But press literally any other button on the device and the sound basically echoes through the entire room. I'm not exaggerating. It's that loud and clicky. The thumbsticks are actually pretty nice, and I've been enjoying playing classic games like Super Mario Brothers with a stick rather than a D-pad, and it gives it a fresh feel whenever you do that. So I give it kudos for having the stick. Here's the problem though. Anything beyond 8-bit games starts requiring more button presses, and you're starting to play games like Super Mario World and Mario Kart, and all of that clicking becomes genuinely distracting. The core gaming experience is there, but the inconsistent button noise really hurts the overall experience. I'm going to have to give the controls a 34 out of 69. Finally, let's talk about the elephant in the room, value. Is this thing actually worth your money? At under 30 US dollars, we're talking about serious budget territory here. This isn't going to break anyone's bank. It does deliver that nostalgic feeling when you first pick it up, kind of like holding a souped up Game Boy. The transparent design is genuinely cool, and having access to decades of gaming history for less than the cost of a new AAA game, that's compelling. But they could really have done better. A properly curated ROM list and quieter buttons would have made this device significantly more appealing. For this price point, there's definite value here despite the shortcomings. Value comes in at 38 out of 69. All right, fam, let's put all the pieces together and see what we've got. Here's how the RX6S breaks down across the 7 categories. The unboxing experience was 30 out of 69 because of nice packaging, but being let down by quality control issues. The internals got a solid 34 out of 69 due to solid budget specs that handle retro gaming adequately. Meanwhile, I gave the first impressions a 40 out of 69 because of the great design and the screen quality with some overall button concerns. And with the first impressions, I gave it a 40 out of 69 because it has a great design and the screen quality looks quite sharp, but there are button concerns outside of the D-pad and face buttons. Customizability, I had to give it a 24 out of 69 due to limited software options and 0 accessories available for it. Meanwhile, the controls, I gave it a 34 out of 69 because it's a mixed bag with quiet face buttons, but annoyingly loud everything else. And the value, I gave it a 38 out of 69. Decent bang for your buck at under 30 US dollars, despite clear shortcomings for this device. Adding all that up and averaging it all out for you, the Game Console RX6S earns an overall score of 33 out of 69. That puts it squarely in the needs serious improvement territory for my rating system, but with some redeeming qualities for the price point. Next, let's break down the top 4 pros and the top 4 cons to help you make your decision. For the pros, it has an unbeatable price point. Under 30 US dollars for decades of gaming is hard to argue with. 2, an attractive transparent design on the black and the purple device. The white still looks quite sharp, and I do love the LED accent lighting on the device to show you if it's charging or if it's being used. It gives solid retro gaming performance for 8-bit, and it has solid retro gaming performance, handling 8-bit and 16-bit games very smoothly. The not so good cons. Again, the inconsistent buttons would have to be number 1 because I love the quiet face and D-pad. but then get to the other buttons, and not so much. Poor game optimizations has to be number 2, because those ROMs, as I mentioned, searching through it, and I found Game Boy games in the Super Nintendo and found Super Nintendo games in the Dreamcast library. Very confusing when you're just looking for a random game in a specific console. Thirdly, it has 0 customization options. No accessories or cases available anywhere for it, which is kind of a miss because I love to be able to get different things for my devices to really make them my own. And finally, quality controls issues, like giving me the wrong manual in the box. That is almost unforgivable. I understand that they may make many devices under their Game Console brand, but at the same time, you got to make sure that the manual's right before you close up the box. So I have to dock them on as a con. So who should actually consider picking up the RX6S? Well, first, I would say the curious budget gamer. If you're someone who wants to dip their toes into retro gaming without spending serious cash, this could be a gateway device. Think of it as a $30 experiment to see if handheld gaming is for you after all. And the nostalgic gift giver, looking for an affordable gift for someone who grew up in the 80s or 90s but hasn't gamed in years. This hits the sweet spot for those familiar with those generations, with a modern packaging and without any sticker shock on your behalf. And I'm sure you're asking who should probably skip this device. Well, first and foremost, serious retro enthusiasts. If you're already knee-deep in the emulation space and own other handhelds, this device's limitations will most likely frustrate you more than it will delight you. And finally, the quality first buyer. If inconsistent button noise, poor organization, and limited customization would drive you crazy, spend a bit more money on a better device. Your sanity is well worth the extra cash. And there you have it, fam. The Game Console RX6S, a budget device that's perfectly adequate for what it costs, but nothing more. At 33 out of 69, it's not going to win any awards, but for under 30 bucks, it might just scratch that retro gaming itch you've been feeling lately. So I'm dying to know, what do you think? Are you team good enough for the price, or team save up for something better? Drop your thoughts down in the comments below. If this review helped you make a decision, I hope that you will smash the like button, subscribe for more handheld deep dives, and ring that notification bell so you never miss when I drop new content. Until next time, this has been PNIC.